Have you ever walked into a room and immediately regretted it? That specific kind of regret that tastes like ash and old memories? I stepped into the grand ballroom of the Evergreen Resort and felt it instantly. The chandeliers dripped crystal light across marble floors, and wealth whispered through the room in hushed tones of respect. It was a perfect wedding venue, a perfect trap. My husband Michael's hand found the small of my back, steadying me. He knows the history. He knows the scars. "Breathe," he whispered, his surgeon's eyes assessing me with clinical precision. "We earned our place here." He was right. But my 6-year-old son, Leo, wasn't impressed by the grandeur. He tugged at his bow tie. "Mom, this thing is trying to choke me." I knelt, adjusting the fabric with a smile. "Just for a little while, buddy. Remember the deal? Good behavior now, swimming pool after." The reception crowd parted briefly, and my heart stopped. A familiar profile catching the light. The slight tilt of the head. The way she leans forward when she laughs. I hadn't seen that gesture in 11 years, but my body remembered it instantly. The bride turned, champagne glass raised. Our eyes locked. Grace, my sister. The champagne flute trembled in my hand. I hadn't recognized the groom's name, Daniel Brooks, on the invitation. I hadn't made the connection. I had assumed Grace was still using our family name, Collins. Her gasp cut through the conversation like a blade. Heads turned. A bubble of silence formed around us, stretching across the divide. And then, I saw them, behind her. Mother's face drained of color, then flushed crimson. Father moved protectively toward Grace, his broad shoulders creating a barrier. "Mother, what are you doing here?" Mother hissed the words, loud enough that guests turned with curious eyes. The familiar shame rose in my throat. For a heartbeat, I was 21 again, standing in the rain with a suitcase, homeless and alone. "Father, you need to leave. You're ruining Grace's day." My father. 11 years older, but the tone was unmistakable. The same commanding voice that once sent me scurrying to answer phones at their clinic, while Grace practiced piano. Michael. "My wife is a guest. We were personally invited by the groom." Mother. "She's an ungrateful..." Michael. "She is the CEO of MedNova." Michael's voice was firm, measured. He stepped forward, every inch the Harvard-trained surgeon. "The name MedNova," he continued, "is revolutionizing the industry." I heard whispers. I saw recognition dawn in the eyes of the guests, many of whom were medical professionals. "CEO?" A woman in a burgundy dress whispered. "That's Amber Collins?" The rain from 11 years ago soaked through my memory. "If you're too ungrateful to help at the clinic, don't come back." That was the last thing my father had said to me before slamming the door. But the scared girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who built something from nothing, who refused to disappear. Visuals. The groom, Daniel Brooks, approaches. He looks confused but polite. "Daniel, you know the CEO of MedNova?" Daniel looked between Grace's frozen face and my composed one. "We've been trying to partner with them for months," he said, turning to me with growing interest. "Your patient monitoring system is revolutionizing post-surgical care." "Daniel, honey, maybe we should..." Grace attempted a smile, but it faltered. Mother and father exchanged glances loaded with panic. I could make a scene. I could expose 11 years of lies right here. I could tell Daniel how they told everyone I'd failed out of college, how they painted me as irresponsible while pocketing my tuition money for Grace's benefit. The power was finally mine. Instead, I simply said, "Hello, Grace. Congratulations." The simplicity landed like a thunderclap. Grace flinched, as if I'd shouted. "And this is my wife, Grace," Daniel beamed, oblivious to the undercurrent. He wrapped an arm around her. Stanford graduate and the brilliant mind managing her family's medical practice back in Vermont. I stood 10 feet away, my champagne untouched. Stanford. My sister nodded demurely. "The Collins Clinic has been serving our community for 30 years, she said. Suddenly, a silver-haired woman in an elegant pantsuit stepped up to me. She studied my name badge. "MedNova, you're Amber Collins. Your presentation at last month's medical summit was brilliant." I smiled. "Thank you. We just finalized implementation with Northwestern's hospital network." Across the room, Grace fumbled through a response to a doctor asking about platelet therapy. "Well, you know how these academic debates go," Grace laughed nervously. "Some professors hold on to traditional methodologies." The doctor frowned. He exchanged a look with a colleague. Daniel's expression shifted, almost imperceptibly, a tightening around the eyes. He was noticing the discrepancy. "Leo. Mom, can I have some cake now? You promised." "In a minute, sweetheart." Leo looked past me, his eyes fixed on Grace. "Is that lady your sister? Does she go to Stanford like you did?" Dennis's face drained of color. Before he could respond, Leo continued innocently. "You showed me your old college pictures. The red buildings were pretty?" Grace froze. "Stanford?" Daniel asked, looking between us. "You went to Stanford too, Amber." "Class of 2014, I answered simply. Daniel's colleague. "You didn't mention your wife's sister was Amber Collins. Her work on predictive algorithms is legendary." The weight of 11 years of lies settled visibly on Grace's shoulders. She reached for Daniel's arm, but he stepped slightly away. I remembered the day I left, rain drumming against my dorm window. My college fund depleted, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. The same day, a package arrived from Grace, photos of her spring break in Cancun, a trip paid for with my future. Daniel pulled Grace aside. Their whispers were heated. "You told me you graduated from Stanford." His voice rose just enough to carry. "I've never heard your name mentioned by any of the faculty." "It was mostly remote learning," Grace pleaded. "A special program. Stanford Medicine doesn't offer remote degrees." Daniel's voice went cold. "Never has." Daniel walked away from his new bride, straight toward me. "Let's find somewhere quieter," he said, his voice steady, but his hand trembling slightly. We settled in a small alcove. "I apologize," he began. She said you dropped out, that you couldn't handle the pressure." I didn't flinch. Years of boardroom negotiations had taught me to keep my face composed. "I graduated summa cum laude," I said, "while working 3 jobs. 3 jobs? Mornings at a coffee shop, evenings at the hospital reception desk, weekends at a call center. I put myself through school part-time because my college fund had been reallocated, Daniel. To Grace's education. To her lifestyle," I corrected gently. I told him about the hospital where I worked reception. That's where I met Michael. He was a resident then. He found me hunched over textbooks during my dinner break. He asked me about a patient flow theory. I told him it was flawed. We talked until my break ended. 7 years later, we launched MedNova from our apartment. Last quarter's revenue was just under $400 million. My mother bustled toward us, trying to intervene. "Daniel, there's someone from Boston General dying to meet you." She ignored me completely. Amber was always the attention seeker, always jealous of her sister. The statement hung in the air like smoke, but the room had shifted. The guests were drifting toward us. A neurosurgeon wanted to discuss my algorithms. A hospital administrator slipped me her card. Daniel stood at my elbow, ignoring his in-laws, asking insightful questions about my technology. 20 minutes later, I went to the restroom. Grace was there, reapplying mascara with trembling hands. "Why are you doing this to me?" she demanded. "Doing what, exactly?" "Ruining my wedding, making Daniel question everything." I washed my hands slowly. "I'm not doing anything, Grace. I'm simply existing." "You were supposed to stay gone," she screamed. "They told everyone you were a dropout, that you were crazy." "And yet," I said, meeting her eyes in the mirror, "here I am." I returned to the ballroom. The atmosphere was suffocating. My father tried to puff up his chest, blocking my path. "You can't just waltz back into our lives and—" "I'm not interested in walking back into anything," I cut him off. "I built my own life. Exactly what you forced me to do when you showed me the door." I pulled a small cream-colored envelope from my clutch and found Daniel. "We're heading out," I said, handing him the envelope. Inside was a certificate for MedNova stock. Not life-changing money, but enough to make a statement. "Congratulations, Daniel." "I mean it, Daniel. Thank you for coming, Amber, especially considering everything. I'd like to visit MedNova sometime, professionally." We exchanged a look. He knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Leo tugged my hand. "Pool time?" "Yes, buddy. Pool time." As we walked away, my mother shouted one last, desperate attempt. "She had advantages we couldn't give, Grace." Michael stopped. He turned around, his voice carrying across the silent room. "What advantages, Mrs. Collins? The 3 jobs? Or sleeping on friends' couches after you stole her money? Leo, aren't those people your family, Mom?" The question silenced the room. Simple, direct, unintentionally devastating. I knelt to his level. "They're relatives, buddy. Family is different." 1 month later, sunlight angled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office. My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Dr. Daniel Brooks is here to see you." Daniel entered like a man carrying an invisible weight. No tuxedo this time. Just a wrinkled suit and dark circles under his eyes. "Daniel, thank you for seeing me." Narrator. He sat down heavily. "I've consulted with a lawyer about annulment possibilities," he said. "Everything Grace told me was fabricated. She never attended Stanford. She never managed the clinic. She's the receptionist." I absorbed this without surprise. The lies were always there, waiting to be found. "Daniel. And there's more. The billing practices at your parents' clinic. They've been charging Medicare for procedures never performed, using outdated codes. Grace helped them do it." The revelation landed like a slap, not because it was shocking, but because it confirmed suspicions I had buried years ago. "They've been doing this for nearly 15 years, Daniel said, beginning right around the time I left for college. They used my college fund for Grace, I realized aloud, and when the money ran out, they started stealing from patients. Daniel. The clinic is under investigation. I submitted anonymous information, but they are asking for testimony from past employees." After Daniel left, I stood at my window, watching traffic flow 40 stories below. My phone buzzed, a text from Michael. "Picking up Leo early. Zoo day. Join us?" Then a computer chime, an incoming email. Subject, Department of Justice. Request for information regarding Colin's family practice. I could delete it. I could refuse. I could let them burn on their own without my fingerprints on the match. But then I thought about the patients. Elderly men and women trusting a doctor who saw them only as a paycheck. I clicked reply. Attached are the copies of the clinic records I saved from 2013. I hit send. It wasn't revenge, it was justice. And it was the final cut of the cord that had tethered me to them for too long. I walked out of the building and into the warm afternoon air. My family, my real family, was waiting for me at the zoo. Some weddings mark beginnings. That one marked an ending. The final release of expectations I never needed to fulfill. I was free. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't a scream. It's a successful life, lived well, without them. If you enjoyed this story of justice and freedom, please subscribe and like this video. It helps us share more stories like this. See you in the next one.